Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There was a time in this country when a path was clear. If you worked hard, made good choices, and invested in your future, you could get ahead. That was the Canadian dream. But for a lot of Canadians today, that dream feels further and further out of reach. Costs are up, opportunities feel tighter, and more people are doing everything right but still falling behind. So at a moment like this, the role of the government should be simple: to make it easier for people to build a life, not harder. That is why this policy is so frustrating, because instead of opening doors, it's closing them. The government proposed restricting the Canada Student Grant for full-time students, and it might sound like a small change, but in real life, it boils down to this. 2 students can be working just as hard, striving for their careers, trying to build a future in this country. One of them gets the help while the other gets nothing just because of where they go to school. That's not fair. That's not common sense. And that is not how we rebuild the Canadian dream. In Waterloo Region, we are incredibly proud of our post-secondary institutions. We have Conestoga College, Wilfrid Laurier, the University of Waterloo, but we also have great institutions like Trios College, who reached out to me personally concerned about this change. These are colleges that serve our community that the traditional system does not work for. Single moms working 2 jobs and still wanting to go to school, or anyone who can attend classes outside of their 9-to-5 regular work. These people are now questioning whether they can afford to stay in their programs. Students who are trying to become medical professional assistants, PSWs, IT professionals, who are now being told that the support they were counting on may not be there. These schools are helping shape our next generation. They give students options, different paths, timelines, and ways to succeed. But the reality is, not every student follows the same path. Some students want a university education. Others want something more hands-on, something that gets them into the workforce faster. That's where career colleges come in. They train people for real jobs in real industries, often in less time. They prepare people to become personal support workers, medical assistants, IT professionals, and skilled trade workers. These are not backup plans. These are essential jobs. These are the people we rely on every single day. And yet, under this policy, many of those students will lose access to federal grants. Not because their work is less important or their career is not needed, just because of the type of school they attend, because that traditional path didn't work for them. Think about that. We're telling someone who wants to work in healthcare or in the trades or tech that they picked the wrong path, so you're on your own now. At the same time, we have a labor shortage. We see it all across our communities, that there's just not enough workers. So why would we make it harder for people to get those skills? Why would we put up those financial barriers? Because that is what this does. It makes it harder for people to take that next step, and for many, it will mean they simply cannot afford to go. It's worth asking, who is most likely to be affected by this? It's not the students with the most resources. It's the ones trying to change their lives. People are going back to school later. New Canadians, people looking for a second chance or a fresh start. This policy doesn't hit everyone equally. It hits already those who are climbing an uphill battle. Now, let's talk about affordability, because this is where it hits the most. Most students do not have extra money sitting around. They rely on grants to make school possible. Rent is high, groceries are high, everything costs more. And for some, trying to decide whether they can go back to school, change careers, or learn a new skill that supports can be different between moving forward or staying back. The government removing that support for one group of students is a closed door that will hit lower and middle incomes. Canadians who are in these classes are hit the hardest, the very people who are trying to get ahead and break cycles in their own lives. There's another piece to this that matters. especially in a place like Kitchener. That is the extra pressure put on our post-secondary institutions. They contribute to our community, support our local economies, but we have also seen the pressure on housing, infrastructure, and services, and those challenges need to be addressed properly. The policies that this government is suggesting does not solve these problems. It does not fix housing or improve oversight. It does not strengthen the system. All it does is make life harder for the Canadian students choosing career training. If anything, we should be expanding flexible, targeted training options to meet demand, not shrinking them. Career colleges are often the fastest way to respond to workforce needs. They adapt quickly, they focus on specific skills, and in moments like this, when the economy is shifting, that kind of flexibility is not a weakness, it's a strength. Mr. Speaker, provinces regulate these schools. They decide which institutions are legitimate, which programs meet standards, and the committee made a simple recommendation. If a province says a school is valid, the federal government should respect that. That is the response that puts students first. Right now, the government hasn't explained why it's suggesting this change, what problem it's solving. From where Canadians are standing, it doesn't solve anything. It just creates new problems. It creates unfairness, it creates barriers, and it sends the wrong message about the value of work. And at the end of the day, it comes down to something simple: respect. Respect for students, respect for a different path, respect for the idea that there is more than one way to build a good life in this country. University is a great path. College is a great path. I went to college. Career training is also a great path. We need all of them. We should be supporting all of them, not telling one group they matter more than another. When we do that, we hurt our workforce, we hurt our economy, and we push the Canadian dream out of reach. So the ask here is simple: reverse this, restore fairness, support students no matter which path they choose. Because if we're serious about helping Canadians get ahead, then we need to stop putting obstacles in the way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.